guys, it's Jen. Welcome back. So today's video is part 2 of my drugstore number ones by brand. So last week I did all of the big drugstore brands like L'Oreal, CoverGirl, Maybelline. This week I'm going to be doing smaller drugstore brands, and I'm also including some indie brands that are sold at Ulta's drugstore section like Juvia's Place and Colourpop and Makeup Revolution. And I also have plans to do a high-end version of this as well, hopefully next week. But if you're new to my channel or you missed last week's video, basically the whole point of this video is to go through the brands at the drugstore and choose the number one product from each brand that I could not live without. And this was such a tough call. Most of the brands I had trouble narrowing it down between a few different products, and I will kind of talk about those a little bit as well. Last week some people were saying don't just do a top 1, do like a top 3, but I feel like that would be such a long video, but I will kind of just touch on some other products that I like from the brands as well. So why don't we go ahead and just jump right in. So the first brand is Coqui Cosmetics, and they're found at Rite Aid stores, and they used to be at Walmart. I'm not sure if they still are, but they're one of my favorite brands at the drugstore. I love so many of their products. They have really cute blush palettes that are awesome. I like their eyeshadow palettes. Their lip powders, which are like a matte liquid lipstick, are one of the only ones that isn't really drying on me, so I love that as well. I love their lip glosses. They're amazing, but I think my number one product from them would have to be their Volume and Length mascara, and this is just one of my holy grail mascaras. It doesn't smudge or flake, and I love the brush on it because it has this really small skinny brush that makes it really easy to get right up close to my lash line, and it's also one of the softer bristle brushes too, so it's not like poking you in the eye all the time. But I just love how much volume and length this gives my lashes without any clumpiness. They also seem to still look fluffy at the same time. I don't know how they do it, but this is not only my favorite product from Coqui, it's also one of my favorite mascaras of all time. Next up we have the brand CYO. They're a smaller brand that can be found at Walgreens, and I haven't tried many of their products, but the few that I did try were a little bit hit and miss. I wasn't super impressed with the brand, but their standout product by far is their Life Proof foundation. This is one of my favorite foundations ever, and it's like $7. It beats out any high-end foundation I've ever tried, just about. It is just so beautiful, especially if you have dry skin. It's really moisturizing, and it looks exactly like your skin. It doesn't look like you're wearing anything. It's very lightweight, but covers nicely. It lasts a long time as well. It has nice medium coverage to it. I just love this so much. It doesn't have any shimmer or glitter in it, so it doesn't accentuate pores, and I also don't find that it creases or settles into fine lines or anything. It's just one of the most natural looking foundations I've tried while still covering up what I need it to. So that's why I love this one and reach for it so often. I use the shade 102, which is a little more on the cool tone side. I just hope that they never stop making this because I would be so sad if they did. And then next up is Rimmel. I can't believe I forgot to talk about them in the last video because I feel like they are a larger drugstore brand. They're in most of the drugstores, but anyway, my favorite product from them would have to be their eyeshadow palettes. They just started coming out with them in the past 2 years, I would say. They come with 12 shades and they're like $7 or $8, which is really affordable, but the formula is so good on most of them. There's been a few that were kind of misses for me, but for the most part, these are beautiful. I did a whole video on them, so if you'd like to see that, I'll link it either up here or down in the description box, so you can check that out. I went through every single one and did swatches and talked about which ones were my favorites, so it's probably not going to come as a surprise to most of you that my favorite is the Jewel Rocks one. I think in that video I might have said my favorite was the Spice one. I don't know, these are kind of neck and neck. I really like the Spice one a lot. I think it's one of the best formulas that they have, but this one is so beautiful, and the one that I think I reach for the most, because the Spice one is more warm tones and I'm kind of like over those lately, but this one I just think is so stunning. It almost has like a Santa Fe vibe to it, and it has a really nice mix of warm and cool tones. You have those cooler greens and blues, and then you have the warmer yellows and kind of rusty colors. It's just so pretty. And the formula is just really easy to blend and highly pigmented. So these are so good. I highly recommend picking one up. And then next up we have BH Cosmetics, and this was another really tough call because they have so many great eyeshadow palettes. I also love their blush palettes, but I think the one that I love the best is the Love in London palette. This one came out pretty recently. I did a whole video on this as well, but what I love about this is just the color selection in here. You have really easy natural colors. You also have a couple of blues and purples in here if you want a little bit of color, but nothing is too bright or too crazy. I feel like I could wear every single shade in this palette and for the most part it's more on the cool side. There's a couple of warm shades in here, but they're so complementary to everything else in the palette. I just love this one so much. I get a ton of use out of it, and the formula is just so amazing. Compared to what their palettes used to be in the past, they've really stepped it up. I think starting with the Zodiac palette and everything since then has been fantastic. This one honestly competes with a lot of my high-end palettes. It's that good. So if you haven't grabbed this one yet, I highly recommend it. They also have one called Hangin' in Hawaii, which is a little bit more like warm neutral. So either one of them is beautiful, just depends on which colors you like. And then next is Flower Beauty, and Flower Beauty was another super tough call. I was like, I have no idea which one I'm gonna pick because there are so many things that I love from them. I love their flower pot blushes. I love their cream blushes that they came out with. I love their highlighting palette. That's like one of my favorite highlighters of all time. But I don't really wear highlighter too much anymore, and I feel like there's a lot of other blushes at the drugstore that I like just as much. So when it came right down to it, I chose their Petal Pout lipsticks. And the reason why these stick out to me is just because the formula is unlike anything else that I've tried from the drugstore. First of all, they have no scent to them. I have tried some others from like L'Oreal and Maybelline where I like the formula, but they smell. They love to use perfumes and stuff in their lipsticks, and I cannot stand lipstick that smells like perfume, so I just don't even use those. These don't have any kind of scent to them whatsoever. The colors are beautiful. It comes in so many different shades, and the formula is great. It's really super lightweight and comfortable to wear. I'm wearing one now in Warm Sand. This is one of my favorite colors in the line, but I just love how smoothly these go on. They're very creamy, but long lasting at the same time, and they just make my lips look a little bit smoother because I do have trouble with a lot of lines in my lips. So this kind of, you know, it doesn't make them go away, but at least it doesn't accentuate them like other lipsticks do. They just feel very moisturizing on, but at the same time so lightweight that it almost feels like you're not wearing anything. So that is why I love these so much. And I'll just quickly show you some swatches of the colors that I wear the most. Naked Blush, Warm Sand, which I'm wearing today, and Spiced Petal. These three I reach for constantly. These are the lipsticks literally that I wear the most. So that's why I chose them as my number one, even though Flower has a ton of amazing products. So moving on to Colourpop, I did a whole video on my favorite Colourpop palettes a while ago. I definitely need to update that one because they've come out with so many palettes since then, and my favorite one has definitely changed. Back then, I think it was Give It To Me Straight was my favorite, but now I would say it has to be the Fame palette. This one is, again, an all cool tone palette, and I've always naturally gravitated toward cool tones, but then I kind of went on a warm tone kick with everybody else for a while, and Give It To Me Straight is very, very warm overall. But this one, I just feel like it's so much easier to use on an everyday basis. You have more shades in it, it's a larger palette, but also these colors are just perfect for my lifestyle because normally I'm just like running errands, taking my son to school. I'm not like doing heavy makeup or anything, and these shades are just so light and so natural and so pretty. So, you know, it's not, when you look at swatches, it doesn't really look like much, but it's just so easy to use, and that is why I love this so much. And their eyeshadow formula is the best. I love so many products from Colourpop. I love their blushes, I love their lip glosses and some of their lipsticks, but the eyeshadow palettes are just so standout to me because they're such a good formula. They compete with high-end shadows, but they're super affordable. So this one is definitely my number one in terms of their shadow palettes, but I definitely have to do another video on Colourpop for you guys because I feel like the order of the palettes that I like has changed, and also I've gotten more of them since then. So if you want to see a video on that, definitely let me know down below and I can redo that video. And then next up is Juvia's Place. This was another really tough call because they have so many beautiful eyeshadow palettes, and I knew I was going to pick one of their palettes, but I wasn't sure which one. I really love the Warrior palette, which is more of a neutral palette, but when it came right down to it, I think the one that I actually use the most is the Saharan palette. Now this one might surprise you because it does look colorful when you open it up, but the reason that I actually get a lot of use out of it is because, first of all, this one has a perfect transition color for me, while the Warrior has more dark matte shades, so it really doesn't have a great transition in that, at least for my skin tone. And this one, if you cover up these bright orange shades right here, it's really kind of more wearable shades overall, even though they're color, they're not like super bright colors. So for example, I love using this green on my lid sometimes, or this rosy color right here. It's almost like a rosy purple. This green right here, I actually have both of the greens on my eyes today. I did the darker one on the corners, and then I put this one in the center, and I really love that one. Even just like this pretty rose gold, sometimes I'll just pop that on my lid as well. This one's a really pretty inner corner highlight. So you just have a lot lot of stuff to play with. I really don't use these two brighter oranges that often, but the rest of the palette I get a ton of use out of, and this transition color goes with pretty much any of the other colors that you're going to use. So that's why I reach for this one a lot, but their formula is fantastic. I think I own every single palette that they have because they're just so, so good. I can also do a video on my favorite Juvia's Place palettes if you guys would like to see that. Definitely let me know down below because this is a brand I really don't talk about as often as I should because they're so good. And then next we have Makeup Revolution, and I have another palette to show you guys. I feel like this video is mostly palettes, but with these brands, I just think that their palettes are the standout product. And Makeup Revolution has a ton of great stuff as well. I absolutely love their new mascara. I know a lot of people don't, but I love that one. I love their cheek products. I love their concealer. Their concealer is really good. But when it came right down to it, the product that I currently love the most is this one. This is from the Forever Flawless collection, and it's the Optimum palette. And this one is just so stunning. I did a video on these. I think it was one of my Friday fives, and I did swatches of all the palettes. And if you've tried Makeup Revolution's eyeshadow formula in the past, but you haven't tried these yet, you need to, because this formula is several steps up from their other formulas. I never necessarily felt like they competed with a high-end palette, let's say, but for the price, they were always pretty good, especially their Reloaded palettes for $7. Those are really amazing. But this is just on another level. It's high-end quality for sure. There are actually 4 palettes in this collection, but the reason that I chose this one with more earthy tones is just because I get the most use out of it. They do have one that's like more pinks and purples, which is really pretty. They also have a warm-toned one, which, like I said, I'm not super into warm tones these days. They also have one that has really bright colors in it. So this is just the one that I tend to reach for the most, but they're all an amazing formula. So I highly recommend you check these out if you haven't, because I think you're going to be really surprised by them. And then next up is the brand Found, and you can find them at Walmart stores, walmart.com, and also they have their own website, but for some reason the prices on their website are a little higher than they are on Walmart, so I just suggest going right to Walmart for these. And they're more of an all-natural brand, so most of their products are like 90-something% natural, which is really great. And I have tried quite a bit of their makeup. My favorite thing by far is their Illuminating Baked Blush, and this one's in the shade Pink Glow. I'm actually wearing it on my cheeks today, and it has a little hint of sheen to it, but it's not glittery or shimmery to the point where it makes like your pores stand out or anything. It just adds a really nice glow, and when I wear this I feel like I don't need to add any highlighter or anything, which I love. I also have this shade, which is Peach Glow. I'll just show you swatches of both of them side by side. The Peach Glow one is definitely lighter. It reminds me a little bit of highlight, but since I'm fair skinned, it does show up on me pretty well as a blush. I think if you're any darker than me though, it might almost be more like a highlight, but I just really love how these blend out. I just think they're so beautiful on the cheek, and I love that they just make your skin look really glowy and healthy, but you know, they don't have too much shimmer in them. So I'm definitely interested in checking out more products from their line because so far I really like what I've tried. And then the last brand I'm going to talk about today is LA Girl, and if you'd asked me like a month ago what my favorite product from them was, I would have probably either said their HD concealer, which is really beautiful if you have dry skin because it's so hydrating and it just makes your under eye area look so smooth, or also their blushes. I think their single blushes are really good as well, but that was until I found this, and these palettes were at CVS. They're only in store at CVS, unfortunately, so they can't be ordered online, but this is the Aloha Vibes Palette, and I have talked about this in a few videos. I haven't done a full review on it yet, but holy cow, I was so impressed with these palettes. There's another one that's more on the warm tone side, but again, I'm loving this cooler toned one, and I have not been impressed in the past with LA Girl's eyeshadow formula. I always thought they kind of were duds for the most part, really difficult to pick up, not too easy to blend. And when I first saw this, I bought it because of the colors, but then when I got home, I was like, why did I do that? I always hate their eyeshadows. But then I tried it and I was completely blown away by the formula. These shimmer shades are so buttery. They actually remind me of Juvia's eyeshadows quite a bit. The matte shades are super easy to blend and super easy to work with, and this color scheme is gorgeous. It has a great mix of colors. You have nice transitions. You have your matte ivory shade. You have some duochrome shades in here that are so super beautiful. So if you were able to find this at CVS, I definitely recommend grabbing it. All right guys, so that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, and also I would love to hear from you guys down in the comments below what your favorite products are from these brands. I always love chatting with you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button before you go, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!